I have a question for you. What do you call a pair of these? I live in the American South, and where I'm from, these are usually called flip-flops, which is an onomatopoeia of what they sound like when you walk in them. My in-laws were very confused when they heard flip-flops because in New Zealand, these are called jandals, which is short for Japanese sandals, which I guess makes sense for the physical location. About a year ago, I got married to my lovely wife, who is from New Zealand, and to our surprise, many of her family members and friends came to visit us in the States for the wedding. These are some American things that surprised my family abroad when they came to visit the United States. You should have seen the look on my mother-in-law's face when I said I wanted to have clamshells at my wedding. In my mind, I was thinking of these, also known as to-go boxes or take-out boxes, but in her mind, she was probably thinking about these. In New Zealand, clamshells would probably be referred to as takeaway boxes or takeaway containers, which, on a side note, reminded me of how much that we use these boxes and similar bags like this in the US because of how much we use drive-thrus in the US compared to other countries. New Zealand has drive-thrus, don't get me wrong, but their culture is insane in the US. Nowadays, as much as 70% of all fast food sales come from drive-thrus in the United States, which is just insane. Which leads me to my next topic, the lack of cafes. One day, my in-laws said that they wanted to just go to a cafe and have a coffee, which I had to tell them is not really the same here, unfortunately. In New Zealand, cafes are abundant and work kind of like a third space even. You go to the local cafe, get a coffee, have a little chat with your friends, and that New Zealand coffee is so good. Cafes do exist in the US, but many of them are like Starbucks, where it almost feels like a fast food restaurant, or it's one of those millennial core cafes that cost like $20 per person just for a coffee and a sandwich. Or it's like an expensive sit-down restaurant with a server who you have to tip at the end, making it even more expensive. Which brings me to my next topic. In New Zealand, tipping is not customary. In the US, tipping is out of control. There are a lot of places that have tipping in their checkout card readers, even places that are not restaurants at all. My mother-in-law accidentally hit one of these tip buttons at a store, which definitely would not be customary to leave a tip. But she panicked and hit the 15% button because she had never seen a screen like that before. In New Zealand, businesses actually pay their workers a fair wage. Imagine that. As they should, rather than offloading that responsibility to the customers. And I just want to say that I hate digital tipping in the United States. Whenever I do it, I always wonder if the tip that I'm selecting is even going to the worker that served me, or is just lining the pockets of the company more. And if you work in food service, please tell me in the comments if this worry is warranted and if you're actually getting the digital tip money that I'm selecting, because I am genuinely curious. When one of my extended in-laws was checking out, she got super confused at checkout, and she said that the US is lying about their prices. It is because in the US, sales tax is not on the price tag. It's something that's calculated at checkout. Those greedy bastards. This can actually be really confusing, especially if you're in an unusual place, even if you live in the United States, because sales tax can be different per state or even per county. And where I live, if you buy food, it's not taxed. But if you're buying junk food, it still is taxed. But what counts as junk food and what counts as regular food? I mean, we're in the US, so everything kind of counts as junk food, right? But it does mean that you have to do a little math to figure out how much something actually is, which is incredibly silly. Just tell me how much the thing is, especially since a lot of the stores are moving towards these digital price tags. There is no reason why it does not have to be included in the price tag. Just put it on the price tag. In New Zealand, there is a general sales tax, or GST, and it's built into the price of the item. The price you see on the tag is the price you see at the checkout. See guys, it's not that complicated. We can totally accomplish this. Sometimes, while we were chilling at home, we wanted to have a little snack together. My mother-in-law particularly likes eating cheese and crackers, which she learned that almost everything in America is really sweet. My two favorite American crackers are Wheat Thins and Ritz crackers, which both register as extremely sweet to their New Zealand palates. When I eat a rinse cracker, or a wheat thin cracker, I don't think sweet, but after they told me and I had one and I really processed the flavor, now I understand what they really meant. You really can taste the sweet if you're really thinking about the flavor. And a lot of American foods are just really sweet, especially bread products and cracker products. I think like Wonder Bread, which is almost like cake, how sweet and light and fluffy it is, and it's probably abuse that we're feeding our children this. When my family was going to visit, some of them told me that they were going to try to take the bus around town, which I quickly said was a horrible idea. In most American towns, mine included, trying to use the bus will lead you to walking multiple miles just to get to the stop, and then waiting over an hour for the next bus to come. Where my wife is from in New Zealand, the public transit system is not perfect, but it is consistent and plentiful as long as you're within the city, and you can expect to get reasonably anywhere within the city within about 30 minutes if you're taking the bus, maybe 45 minutes. If you're planning on visiting the US, plan on renting a car or using a taxi service, or plan on your feet hurting really bad. In New Zealand, due to the culture and the geographical location, Indian food and other Asian food dishes are more common than they are here in the United States. One day, my mother-in-law wanted to make butter chicken, which is a really lovely Indian curry dish, which is very, very nice and wonderful, and I really recommend that you try it if you haven't already. When I first heard of butter chicken, I thought, butter chicken? Oh, like buttermilk chicken? Like buttermilk fried chicken? Fortunately, no. It's a curry, and it was honestly way better than any fried chicken that I've tried. We went to Walmart to try to find ingredients for butter chicken, which was our first mistake. And she was really astonished when she couldn't find garam masala with the spices, which is a pretty common Indian spice in many Indian dishes. Most regular American supermarkets only carry things like McCormick spices, which only really encompasses a lot of basic spices, although this might be why a lot of American households seem to only season things with salt, pepper, garlic, and onion. And on a side note, she also wanted to have naan bread with the butter chicken, which is an Asian flatbread, which you usually have with butter chicken or other similar curry dishes, but they didn't have any of that either. They were out of stock, and even the ones that would have been in stock weren't even proper naan bread. They were like these little miniature naan bread bites, so we had to have pita bread with it. And she meant to buy coconut milk for her recipe, but got a little confused and accidentally bought cream of coconut instead, which is very sweet. And to be honest, the dish was still very, very good, but it was very sweet for what it was, and it was kind of this strange amalgamation of pita bread and sweet butter chicken. It tasted like an American delight. It's okay, if you're watching this, I still loved it. Now, you can find Indian spices in the US, but instead of it just being sold at the supermarket, you usually have to go to an Asian or an Indian market to get these items, which I strongly suggest checking out, because you might find some unusual things that you really enjoy in there. Now, if you have some similar international stories, leave a comment below, and maybe I can make a video talking about some of your stories as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye!